Have you ever had someone you trusted with your whole heart turn their back on you because of a lie so vicious, so personal, it felt like a knife straight to the chest? I'm talking about the kind of betrayal that doesn't just hurt. It shatters everything you thought you knew about love, family, and loyalty. That's exactly what happened to me when my own brother spun a web of lies about me to my girlfriend, the woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, leaving me scrambling to pick up the pieces of a relationship I wasn't sure I could save. This isn't just a story about a lie. It's a raw, messy dive into heartbreak, rage, and the desperate fight to prove who I really am. I'm going to take you through every gut-wrenching moment. The love I thought was unbreakable, the moment I realized what my brother had done, and the long, painful road to rebuild trust while wrestling with a betrayal I never saw coming. Stick with me, because I'm still figuring out if forgiveness is even possible, and I need to know what you think. How do you rebuild when the damage feels irreparable? Let's get into the hardest chapter of my life. My name's Ethan, and I'm 32 now, living in a small, rented bungalow in Asheville, North Carolina, a quirky mountain town nestled in the Blue Ridge, where the air always smells faintly of pine and the streets are lined with artsy shops and breweries. Asheville's got this laid-back, creative vibe with its buskers playing banjo on Pritchard Park and the misty peaks looming in the distance. But for me, it's also a place of quiet ghosts, where every corner holds a memory of a life I almost had. I grew up just outside town in a working-class neighborhood, in a split-level house with a gravel driveway where the sound of crickets was louder than my parents' arguments most nights. I'm a carpenter now, working with my hands to build custom furniture in a rented workshop near the French Broad River. But back when this all went down, I was 27, hustling odd jobs, trying to carve out a future with the woman I loved. The heart of this story, the wound that still stings, is about how my older brother, Caleb, told a devastating lie about me to my girlfriend, Mia, in the fall of 2018, a betrayal that nearly destroyed the most important relationship in my life. Caleb, who's 35 now, was always the golden child in our family, charming, confident, the one who could talk his way out of anything, working as a real estate agent with a knack for bending the truth. He's the key person in this mess, the one whose jealousy or spite, I'm still not sure which, drove a wedge between me and Mia, a 26-year-old barista and aspiring photographer back then, with a laugh that could light up any room and a quiet strength I leaned on more than I realized. The emotional conflict tearing me apart was the clash between my deep, unshakable love for Mia and the suffocating anger and hurt I felt toward Caleb, compounded by the fear that I'd lost her trust forever over something I didn't even do. I was caught between fighting to prove my innocence and grappling with why my own brother would sabotage me, leaving me drowning in self-doubt and betrayal. The unexpected twist came months later, when I uncovered that Caleb's lie wasn't just a random act of malice. It was tied to a hidden resentment he'd harbored for years, a grudge rooted in a childhood incident I'd long forgotten, which flipped my anger into a complicated mess of guilt and lingering pain. This story unfolds in Asheville during the turbulent months of 2018 and 2019, with the city's vibrant fall foliage, the chill of early winter on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and the cozy hum of coffee shops as the backdrop to my unraveling life. Every memory is tied to this place. The creak of the wooden porch at Mia's old apartment near Biltmore Village, the scent of roasted coffee in the air during our late-night talks, the distant sound of street musicians that seemed to mock my loneliness when everything fell apart. Memories of those early days with Mia flood back as I sit in my workshop now, sanding down a walnut table, the smell of sawdust grounding me while the distant rush of the French Broad River carries me back to better times. I think about when we first met at 25 and 24 at a local art fair downtown, her snapping photos of handmade pottery while I awkwardly complimented her camera, both of us laughing over cheap cider from a nearby stand, dreaming about road trips and a shared studio one day. I remember the night I knew I loved her, sitting on a blanket at Craggy Pinnacle during a sunset hike, the mountains stretching endlessly below us, her head on my shoulder as we talked about everything and nothing, her warmth a promise I thought would last forever. Now, flipping through old photos on my phone, blurry shots of us at the Asheville Urban Trail, grinning with paint on our hands from helping a friend mural a wall, I wonder how something so solid could crumble so fast, and why I didn't see Caleb's resentment brewing before it exploded. The unraveling of my life started in September 2018, during one of Asheville's golden autumns, when the leaves turned fiery red and orange, and the air had that crisp bite that made everything feel alive, except for me, once the lie came to light. Mia and I had been together for 2 years, living in her tiny apartment near Biltmore Village, saving up for a place of our own, spending evenings cooking cheap pasta and planning weekend hikes in the Smokies, when I started noticing a shift in her. She grew distant, her texts shorter, her smiles forced, avoiding my eyes when I'd ask what was wrong, leaving me paranoid and sleepless on our lumpy couch. The sound of late-night traffic outside a cruel reminder of how alone I felt even with her in the next room. I remember pacing the hardwood floor, the creak under my boots echoing my anxiety, wondering if I'd done something wrong, if she'd fallen out of love, never imagining the real reason was a poison planted by my own flesh and blood. The real storm broke in early October 2018, a moment that still burns in my memory like the sting of a fresh cut, when I finally learned what Caleb had done, shattering my world on a rainy evening in Asheville. I'd come home from a long day of framing a house, mud on my jeans, to find Mia sitting on the edge of our bed, her face pale, eyes red from crying, holding her phone like it was a grenade. She wouldn't speak at first, just stared at me with a mix of hurt and doubt, until I begged her to tell me what was wrong. And that's when the truth spilled out, not from her words, but from the screenshots she showed me of texts from Caleb. He'd told her I'd cheated on her months earlier, during a guy's trip to Charlotte, spinning a detailed story about some random girl at a bar, complete with fake proof from a buddy I barely knew. Standing there, rain tapping on the window, the smell of damp earth seeping through the cracked frame, I felt my stomach drop, rage and disbelief crashing over me like a wave, knowing I'd never touched anyone else, but seeing in her eyes that she half believed him. The emotional toll of that lie carved a hollow in me, deeper than the valleys around Asheville, as the days turned into weeks and the silence between Mia and me grew thicker than the morning fog on the mountains. I tried explaining, swearing on everything I held dear that it wasn't true, but doubt lingered in her gaze, a wall I couldn't break through, leaving me to sleep on the couch, staring at the ceiling while the hum of the fridge mocked my insomnia, wondering how my own brother could do this. I drive aimlessly along the Blue Ridge Parkway, the winding roads a mirror to my spiraling thoughts, replaying every moment of that supposed trip, hating myself for not having an airtight alibi, for not seeing Caleb's jealousy sooner. Asheville's beauty, the golden glow of fall on Pack Square, the buzz of tourists at the Biltmore estate, felt like a cruel backdrop to my pain, a reminder of the happiness I'd lost, each leaf falling like a piece of my relationship crumbling away. The aftermath was a slow, aching void, stretching through the winter of 2018, as I fought to salvage what was left of us while grappling with a betrayal I couldn't comprehend. Mia didn't leave right away, but the trust was fractured, our conversations clipped, every touch hesitant, like we were strangers sharing a space, the warmth of her old apartment replaced by a chill no heater could fix. I'd spend hours at work, hammering away at framing jobs, the physical ache a distraction from the emotional one, coming home to find her editing photos in silence, her passion a reminder of what we'd lost. Caleb, meanwhile, dodged my calls, sending vague texts about being busy, leaving me to stew in rage on late-night walks through downtown Asheville, past the street art and buskers, wondering what I'd done to deserve this, if I'd missed some sign of his resentment all these years. The city's holiday lights, twinkling by December, felt like a mockery of my darkness, each glow a reminder of the Christmases Mia and I had spent laughing over hot cocoa at local cafes. The unexpected twist came in March 2019, on a cold, gray afternoon in Asheville, when I finally confronted Caleb and uncovered the real reason behind his lie, a truth that shifted my anger into a tangled mess of guilt and unresolved hurt. I tracked him down at a coffee shop on Haywood Street, the smell of espresso thick in the air, my hands shaking as I sat across from him, demanding to know why he'd sabotaged me. At first, he deflected, smirking like it was no big deal, but when I pushed, his facade cracked, and he admitted it wasn't just about messing with me. It was revenge for something I'd long buried. Back when we were kids, around 12 and 15, I'd accidentally ratted him out to our parents about a party he'd snuck out to, getting him grounded for months, a punishment that cost him a shot at a summer baseball camp he'd dreamed of. He'd held onto that grudge for 2 decades, letting it fester into spite, waiting for a chance to hurt me like he felt I'd hurt him. Standing there, the hum of the cafe fading, I felt a storm of emotions, shock at how long he'd carried this, guilt for my part, however small, and a deep sadness that our bond had rotted into this. Determined not to let this betrayal define my future, I poured everything into rebuilding with Mia, turning my pain into a fight for what we had, even as I wrestled with Caleb's revelation. I started small, leaving notes for her on the kitchen counter, reminders of why we fell in love, like the time we got lost hiking near Looking Glass Falls and laughed through the rain. I suggested we try couples counseling, Driving to sessions in a cramped office near West Asheville, the awkward silences in the car a test of my patience. But each session peeled back layers of doubt, letting me show her I'd never betray her. I cut contact with Caleb too, needing space to process his confession, ignoring his half-hearted apology texts, focusing instead on long walks with Mia along the French Broad River Greenway, the water's slow churn a backdrop to our tentative steps forward. Asheville's spring bloom, dogwoods and azaleas popping along the streets, felt like a cautious promise, though every quiet moment with her still carried the weight of what we'd almost lost. Reflecting on my past with Mia and the life we'd built became a near-daily ritual, especially on quiet evenings in my workshop, the smell of wood stain grounding me as I thought about what could have been. I'd remember the nights we'd spent at local breweries like Wicked Weed, sharing flights of craft beer, planning a future with a fixer-upper cabin in the mountains, her quiet dreams a lifeline I clung to until Caleb's lie nearly snapped it. I remembered the day we adopted a scruffy mutt named Barley from the Humane Society, laughing as he chewed my work boots, a memory now tainted by the image of Mia's tear-streaked face when she confronted me. I'd sit on my porch, watching the sunset over the Blue Ridge, wondering if I'd been too naive to trust Caleb, or if I'd ignored red flags in his charm all along. Asheville's renewal, spring festivals at Biltmore Village, the buzz of new art exhibits, felt like a challenge to my stagnation, a reminder that healing wasn't as simple as a few counseling sessions or a shared hike. As the months stretched into 2019 and beyond, I built a fragile truce with Mia, though the unresolved tension with Caleb lingered like the fog that often cloaks the Smokies. We moved into a new place together by mid-2019, a small rental near Montford, decorating it with her photos and my handmade shelves, each piece a quiet vow to rebuild, though trust came in slow, uneven waves, tested by every late work night or unanswered text. I kept my distance from Caleb, seeing him only at forced family gatherings like Thanksgiving at Mom's, our interactions cold nods over turkey, unable to forgive but too tired to fight. I started journaling, late at night with a beer in hand, writing down memories of Mia and me, from our first awkward date to the day we painted our old apartment, hoping to anchor myself in the good while wrestling with whether I'd ever confront Caleb fully. Asheville's quiet corners, the hidden trails off the parkway, the hush of early mornings by the river, became my refuge, places to question if I'd ever trust family the same way again, or if that innocence was gone for good. The grind of moving forward while carrying this hurt felt like trudging through Asheville's muddy trails after a storm, each step forward shadowed by a past I couldn't fully escape. I'd run into old friends at events like Leaf Festival, their casual, "How's Mia?" questions a minefield, forcing me to smile through half-truths while inside I burned with the secret of Caleb's lie, a weight I hadn't shared with anyone outside counseling. I started second-guessing my decision to cut Caleb off, wondering if I'd been too harsh, or if closure meant facing him head-on, a thought that kept me up on nights when the crickets outside my window seemed louder than my resolve. I even considered reaching out to that old buddy Caleb had dragged into his lie, to clear my name once and for all, but backed out each time, terrified of stirring up more drama, unsure if it'd help Mia trust me more or just reopen old wounds. Driving down Hendersonville Road alone, past the quirky roadside diners, I wrestled with whether I'd let this betrayal steal too much from me, or if I'd reclaimed enough by holding on to Mia. The weight of judgment, both my own and the silent tension with Caleb, didn't fade easily. Even as I pushed forward, each memory of that lie a reminder of how fragile trust can be. I'd spend hours in my workshop, sorting through old tools, finding a hammer Mia had engraved with my initials as a birthday gift years back, and feel a pang of longing for the ease we'd lost, now replaced by a guarded hope when we'd share a quiet laugh over dinner. I started avoiding family gatherings beyond the bare minimum, unable to sit through hours of small talk with Caleb there, wondering if he ever regretted his choice or if he still saw it as justified. I'd walk through downtown Asheville on quiet evenings, past the historic buildings on Wall Street, feeling like a stranger in my own story, asking myself if I'd been too quick to shut Caleb out, or if that distance was the only way to protect what little peace I'd found with Mia. The city's charm, the glow of string lights at night, the smell of fresh bread from bakeries, felt like a mockery of my inner struggle, a reminder that moving on wasn't just about surviving, but about living with a scar. By early 2023, I'd carved out a life I could call stable, with my carpentry business picking up, local clients, a small online shop for custom pieces, even a feature at an Asheville craft fair, but the emotional cost of Caleb's lie lingered like a shadow over every success. Mia and I were stronger, celebrating small victories like a weekend getaway to Black Mountain, her hand in mine as we watched the sunrise, though I still caught flickers of doubt in her eyes during quiet moments, a reminder of the trust we were still rebuilding. Yet, every time I'd see a missed call from Caleb, a rare attempt to reach out, usually around holidays, I'd feel that old mix of anger and curiosity, wondering if we'd ever truly talk about what happened, or if we were doomed to this surface-level connection. I started mentoring a kid through a local trades program, teaching him woodworking, his eager questions a bomb and a blade, unsure if I was healing or just hiding from the bigger questions about my brother and the family ties I'd let fray. Reflecting on the journey to rebuild trust with Mia, I spent a lot of time wandering Asheville's quieter spots, like the trails near the North Carolina Arboretum, the towering trees a somber mirror to my mood as I thought about what I'd gained and lost. I'd remember the early days of our relationship, sneaking into late-night shows at the Orange Peel, dreaming of a shared future while the music drowned out our worries, a hope now tainted by the memory of her tearful doubt. I thought about Caleb's quiet smirks growing up, his charm always hiding something sharper, a bond broken by spite. Now just a fleeting glance if I pass his office downtown. I'd sit on park benches near the Basilica, sketching furniture designs on my notepad, wondering if I'd been too naive to see his resentment, or if I'd ignored red flags in our sibling rivalry all along. Asheville's beauty, the rolling hills, the vibrant murals, felt like a challenge, pushing me to decide if I'd let this hurt define me, or if I could forge something new despite it. Now, as I sit here in my bungalow, the soft glow of a lamp casting shadows on the half-finished chair I'm building, the distant sound of a neighbor's guitar drifting through the open window, I'm still wrestling with where to go from here. Mia and I are in a better place, stronger than we were, but not whole, not yet. There are nights when I catch her staring off, and I wonder if she's still questioning me deep down, if Caleb's lie left a crack that'll never fully close. And then there's Caleb himself. Part of me wants to confront him again, to hash it out once and for all, maybe even forgive him if I can understand why he held on to that grudge for so long. But another part of me just wants to let it go, to focus on Mia and the life we're building, to stop letting his shadow loom over us. Asheville's taught me resilience, with its rugged mountains and stubborn beauty, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to face that part of my past head-on. So, I'm turning to you.